All right, so let's move on to our fair division lesson two. And this is what we call the divider chooser method. And so divider chooser, it is the best known of all the continuous fair division methods. Okay, so it is definitely the best known of all the continuous fair division methods. And the only big requirement here, as you can see in the PowerPoint, this method can be used anytime it involves two players and a continuous set. So what is my requirement here? My requirement is that I have two players and it must be continuous. Okay. I have to have two players and it must be continuous. Which remember we talked about is like a piece of cake or pizza or land. It's just things that I could break up in infinitely many different ways. Okay, is what we said continuous was. Um, in divider chooser, you have two things. You have the divider, who is the person that is going to cut whatever the thing is into uh, equal parts. And so the divider is always going to cut it into what they deem as two fair shares. And this is based on their perspective. And then, so if you really think about it, when you are the divider always will make it, will always break it up into 50% shares. Okay. Because that's the thing. You, as the divider, you're always going to want to get your fair share. So you're always going to break it up into something that you deem that you're going to get at least, you're going to get that 50% of whatever it is. A piece of cake is always the common example here. Okay. So the divider is always going to get what they deem to be 50%. All right. And then you have the chooser. And the chooser gets to pick, the chooser picks the share believed to be fair or better and leaves the other for the divider. So you have a piece of cake. The divider cuts it into what he thinks is a 50-50 fair share. And then the chooser will pick from the two pieces that he's cut, and they're always going to pick what they feel like is their fair share. So they're always going to, at least in their mind, get 50%, if not more, if they actually, divider does. But both players, therefore, will receive what they believe is to be a fair share. Um, so, in your opinion, is it going to be better to be the chooser or the divider? Um, so we're going to say that it is definitely better to be the chooser because no matter what, you're always going to get your fair share, if not more than what you think. So the chooser, the chooser uh, will always get 50% or more of the um, of the share. The divider will always get exactly 50%. Okay. So the chooser will always get 50% or more of their fair share, but the divider will always get exactly 50% because that's how they're going to break it up. All right. So, any questions so far? All right. So, here is our two-player divider chooser method. And our example here, we're going to do the example that's given on our sheet. All right, so we can this the full sheet here. Okay, so let's take a look at our examples. Let's take a look at our examples here. And see what we got. All right. So it says that Scotty and Jordan order a cake to celebrate their birthdays. Half is angel food and the other half is red velvet. Scotty values angel food and red velvet exactly the same. So Scotty likes both. Eat both pretty equally. Okay. Scotty enjoys both pretty equally. Or he says he enjoys, Scotty values both exactly the same. So for Scotty, they're each going to be a half. Okay. For Scotty, he's going to always, once again, get his fair share. But now Jordan, on the other hand, okay, Jordan, because that's who we're focused on, Scotty values angel food exactly the same, while Jordan hates angel food, does not value that half at all, and loves red velvet. Scotty is the divider. Okay. So, like we said earlier, your divider is always going to get 50%, or in this case, a half. All right. But let's see which side will Jordan choose. Well, red velvet, Jordan loves red velvet. So Jordan values the red velvet as 1 and values angel food cake as, now when I say basically 100%. Okay. And Jordan hates angel food cake. So Jordan values that as 0%. And then our fractional value, or our physical value, is going to be red velvet as 180%. And angel food as 180%, because the cake is half angel food cake and half red velvet cake. So which side is Jordan going to choose and why? So if you think about it, based on the one side, you've got, so let's do the one side of the cake. The cake's being cut like this. So you've got 1 times, remember, like in the last thing, we do this times this plus this times this. So it'd be times 120 over 180 plus 0 over, or 0 times 60 over 180. And that's going to turn out to be 2/3. Okay. That's going to turn out to be 2/3. Now, if you think about it, if this was 180, then this would be 60 and this would be 120. So they're basically going to just switch. So in the other piece of cake, this side of the cake, red velvet was 60 out of 180 plus an angel food cake was, of the 0 was 120 out of 180. So in this regards, Jordan would value that piece of cake as 1/3. So which one is Jordan going to most? And that is going to be this piece. Because in terms of fair shares, Jordan feels like she's going to get 2/3 of her fair share if she takes this piece. So that's why she's going to take this one. She's going to take this out of the cake over here. Okay. Because she's going to get more of the type of cake that she likes. All right, let's look at our last example here. Micah and Miles are trying to split a cookie cake that is half chocolate chip and half sugar cookie. Micah likes chocolate chip 4 times as much as sugar. Miles likes chocolate chip 3 times as much as sugar. The cookie cake was sliced into pieces. One piece was 72 degrees of chocolate chip and 162 degrees of sugar as pictured. Which player, Micah or Miles, divided the cake? So let's start there first. Let's see how each one would value the piece of cake. So Micah, well, what did it say? Micah likes chocolate chip 4 times as much as sugar. So 4 times here, 1 time for sugar. So we have a total of 5. And then chocolate chip 4 times as much as sugar, which was 1/5. Okay. Now, once again, the original piece, since it was cut perfectly in half, would be chocolate chip as one out of 180 and sugar out of 180. Okay. So, same thing over here. Miles likes chocolate 3 times as much as sugar. So that would be out of 4. Chocolate chip was 3 times as much and sugar was 1. All right. And then our physical fraction, same thing. Chocolate chip out of 180 and sugar out of 180. All right. So let's see how much each values the piece that was cut here. So let's do the first one. So let's do Micah. So Micah would be, you got 4/5 times, and the chocolate chip was 72 out of 180 plus 1/5, and then it was 162 out of 180. And when you figure that out, you get 0.5. Okay. And then Miles, okay, Miles would do 4 out of 72 out of 180 plus 1/4, and then that would be 162 out of 180, and that turned out to be 0.525. Okay, so who was our divider, and then which piece would the chooser take? Well, if you remember what we said, the divider will always make sure that he or she gets 50% of whatever you're dividing. So in this case, Micah is going to be my divider because he ensures he is going to get 50%. Okay. And then who was my chooser? Well, then my chooser has to be Miles. Okay. Because in this case, Miles ended up, in his opinion, getting 52.5% of his fair share. So he ended up getting, in his view, more than 50%. So Micah would be the divider and Miles would be the chooser. And he is going to choose that piece because he got 52.5%. If he would have done the other piece, he would have felt like he got less than 50%. So that's why he would choose that one. All right. Any questions? All right, let's try a few homework problems with this and let's see how we do.